So Wayne,
Yeah,
thank you so much for coming in.
sure.
I think this is a special BNI podcast episode for our chapter because this gentleman right here. So what was the award that you won? Because you got a crown.
Well, it's a BNI chapter member of the year.
Member of the year right here, sitting right next to me.
It's actually the second time. First one was 21, 22, I think. So
21 or 22.
yeah,
So second time that you've been chapter
I
member of the
thought
year.
I thought they would just you do it once and you're done. But I guess there's no quick restrictions.
Well, so this is I'll let you introduce yourself, but thanks for joining us today. And it's early morning. We started this at 8:30. It's not early for Wayne and I
Right,
because
not
we've
too
been
early,
up since
yeah.
like 5, so we're all good.
Right.
But I think this is the first time I've recorded at 8:30 here in the morning. So
Okay.
yeah, thanks for being here. And I'm going to let Wayne introduce himself. Just so you know, that's your camera. So if you
Oh, I
ever want to
see.
look directly into the camera, you can look at that one. But you don't have to either.
Mhm.
So, hey, tell me who you are and what you do, Wayne.
Yeah, so we have a CPA practice, mainly tax work. It's been 19 years. Shooting for 20, but we'll see what happens.
So are you on your 20th year?
I'm on my 20th year, yes.
So when's the big anniversary of the grand?
June 22nd. I can remember that because it's my brother's birthday. So
Nice.
Yeah.
June 22nd will be 20 years. And you've been in BNI for how long?
19 years too. So I started BNI in August of 19 years ago.
19-year BNI member right here. It's like royalty. And he did get a crown too. So what are you from this area? Are you from Southwest Washington?
We grew up in the center. I grew up in the center and went to Seattle for 9 years to work, but came back down here in 2000 for a job. So.
And have you always been in accounting?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me about your first job in accounting.
Well, first job. So I graduated in accounting, and then I was looking around. It was 1990 actually, and actually jobs weren't around here. So I interviewed different places, no offers, but finally got an offer with Housing and Urban Development, HUD, Office of Inspector General for audit. So it's a government auditor basically.
Oh,
so I had
government auditor.
So we would go out, mainly housing authorities and different CDBG programs, block grant programs. We go audit different things on that they were.
Did you make a lot of enemies?
No, I mean but one thing I did learn through there is that you have to, as an auditor, or even basically as an auditor, you need to know the details. Be concentrating on the details, but also being aware of the big picture.
What is the big picture?
Well, does it really matter? Does this thing I'm looking at, what does it mean? So we can write a report that actually tells the reader what we found.
Yeah.
So
how long did you do that?
About 7 years.
And then did you start your own?
No, then
practice?
I decided I was going to get out of government because I didn't want to stay there for my whole life and be a government auditor my whole life. So I was looking for another job, and I ended up with Regions Blue Shield as an internal audit. So health insurance programs, and then worked there for a couple of years, and then I had a chance to come back down here to where I grew up.
That was in Seattle?
Yeah, that was in Seattle. Yeah. I came back down here and went to work for an excavation company as a CFO.
Oh, wow. So you've done a lot of stuff, and then you thought, you know what, I'm going to start my own.
Well, actually, I didn't really think that, but back in 2005, January 2005, my owner says, hey, let's go have a breakfast together, or a lunch together. I was thinking, good, because I've been wanting to ask him for a raise, so this would be a good time to go talk to him about a raise. And anyway, we went to lunch in Stanford's, still at Jansen Beach. I remember that still. But anyway, he told me that he's going to be stepping out as the owner, as the overall controlling the business and bringing in a CEO. And he couldn't pay me and the CEO at the same time.
Oh, bummer.
So he basically split my job into two, hired a bookkeeper and hired a CEO to take the higher level. So I started looking for a job, and then I didn't think about, my wife and I sat down and we looked, okay, what do we want? What's our pros and cons for what we want next?
Yeah.
And didn't want to travel. Was one thing. Anyway, I found out from a meeting, a Toastmasters meeting I was at, that the CPA was in Battleground, was retiring and selling our practice. So I came home and told my wife. She says, "Oh, that's everything that's on your list, except it's not self-employed, but you didn't have that on your list." And I thought, well, I don't know. I've still got some other irons in the fire. And about a month later, I said, I got to take the jump.
So when you bought the practice, it was a brick and mortar, right? The building is that the building you're in now still?
No, it was about 1,000 square feet. We ended up moving about 8 years ago.
And then you already had CPAs.
Well, employees,
right?
There was no other CPAs in the business. Yeah.
So you're the CPA,
right?
And then you had employees that came with the business,
right?
And then they decided to stay on and say, "Oh yeah,
that was their job." Yeah, that was their job. I mean, they're not. That was 19 years ago. They're not all the same now, but everything's turned over since then. But
that's pretty cool. So 19 years in business, going on 20. And then you've had your practice in Battleground now, which is an awesome building.
Yeah,
because it's like is it like a house, right?
Well, it's a corner building. It's on the main street. It's about 2,800 square feet.
Yeah, I mean, it's well advertised.
People drive by all the time, and we get people walking in or driving by.
Oh, that's.
We ask them, how'd you hear about? Oh, I just drive by. I needed CPA or need tax work, so I stop in.
That's great advertisement. That's great marketing there, kind of built in, right?
Yeah.
So 20 years. What are some of the things that you've seen over, I don't know, 20 years of doing this that have changed drastically? Has there been any drastic changes?
Well, the first change I did when I started the business, I came in and she was on dial-up internet.
Oh, right.
So that was a big change.
You've got mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the internet, the modem was hooked up to the fax machine. So when we were online, you couldn't get a receive fax, send or receive faxes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so technology's
changed. That's quite a bit.
Well, I remember when, like, QuickBooks first became like online, because like TurboTax and everything, you'd have to buy. Was it each year you'd have to buy like a DVD or a disc or something like that?
Yeah, I think remember you'd go into like this Costco or wherever and here's the new program.
Do they still do that?
I doubt it. I think it's all
online
now.
Yeah. And is TurboTax QuickBooks?
Intuit owns them both.
Intuit, okay. And is that who you mainly like? Like Mickey and I, when we started the wellness center, I told her, "Hey, we've got to get a bookkeeper for one, because we've had a CPA for a while, which now you're our CPA. Are we official? Do we shake on?
No, we have to
sign paperwork.
There's an engagement letter we
sign. Engagement, and then sign our life away to you. But I remember I didn't want to handle any of that stuff, because I'm like, hey, we have a brick and mortar. We're legit now. I don't want to mess anything up. And we hired our first bookkeeper when we opened the store. But just seeing, like, I think the last time before that, I owned a business in Arizona, and I used like QuickBooks just to do daily entries and stuff for the business. But man, it's like I call it mathing. I don't math. But it's pretty amazing how technology has improved with bookkeepers and QuickBooks, and that's probably 90% of your.
Yeah, I think most of it. We are actually trying to move away from it. There's some issues with QuickBooks.
Yeah,
things you can't do very well. And
I've also heard that.
I have one client. I'm moving over to Xero.
Xero.
I think it's a better program. I use it myself.
Okay.
And he's QuickBooks just keeps raising their prices, and you sign up, and I mean, when you sign in to start a file, that I think your base price is $100 a month.
Yeah.
And then you don't realize you can actually downgrade after you install it. You can actually downgrade, but they kind of set you out at a higher price.
So how many employees do you have?
There's 6.
6 employees.
Yeah.
Is that okay to say on camera? Soon to be 5. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I have to keep track. We just hired a new one, and I was trying to figure out, is it 5 or 6 or?
Yeah.
There's 7 of us total.
Do you work with a lot of bookkeepers that are across the U.S.?
Not so much. Mainly here in Washington.
Yeah.
There's several here in the local area that I work with. But, one of the things that in the industry, basically, there's a lot of push, especially after COVID, to go, we're a virtual firm, or we work from home. But we've been fortunate enough to have a nice place and big enough where we feel it can be safe even at that time.
Yeah.
And my staff, even though we've set it up where, you can do some work from home. And just the environment, we just attract people that want to be in the office and be around people. Because I think there's a lot of synergies with that.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a lot of work can be done just virtual, and there's some very successful virtual firms. So.
I know our bookkeepers have other, employees that are all across the U.S., whether they're, contractors, independent contractors, or whatever, however that works. But I think a lot of bookkeepers probably work that way now.
Yeah, I know Elizabeth is that way.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And that probably makes for them to be able to branch out too and work in other states.
Right.
Potentially.
Right.
Yeah.
I found that I've had people, I actually had a client, actually never came on as a client, but they were connected with a bookkeeper that I know. Anyway, they were moving to Utah.
The business?
The business was moving to Utah before they even started with me.
Oh, wow.
So I did some work with them and just kind of some planning. And anyway, they were moving to Utah. And I thought, there's so many laws here locally that we know because we're Washington, Oregon. But I'm not Utah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be jumping into something that, I probably would be okay. But what are these tax laws or rules for businesses, especially?
Yeah.
That's out there that I'm not aware of. And they'll be. So I actually referred them to a BNI member in Utah.
Oh, that's cool.
So
that's another thing. So, I think a lot of the one-to-ones I've had in here, it's like we've been diving so much into people with their businesses and, what they like to do on a personal level and kind of what drives them, to be doing what they're doing. But with you, because you've been in BNI for 19, 20 years,
right.
I want to hit on some things that you've seen in 20 years of BNI that why you keep coming back, why you keep coming back to BNI every year. You renew your membership, and what do we call BNI, like 20-year lifers, like BNI lifers?
Yeah, I might be in that spot so far, but there are people that have been in BNI since it started.
When did BNI start?
I think it's over 30 years ago, but there's still people in the founders chapter that started there.
Wow.
Or at least one person.
Yeah.
So
what?
It's more than 30 years, but
yeah. So tell me about like your first year you joined BNI. What was it like as compared to now?
Yeah. So the first year actually it's similar. The program's similar. We had a smaller chapter. I think we were like 18 people, but we still get good referrals and I have people I've referred to me back then. I still have as clients. So 19 years.
Oh, sorry. I had to make sure we were still recording because I just put a new hard drive in there. All right. So we'll go back to that.
So anyway, but it was actually right down the street here.
Oh, really?
And off Mill Plain. But the building we went to is no longer there. I think it's called Ruby Tuesdays, the restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
7-Eleven there now.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the sweet tomatoes or something. But yeah, Ruby Tuesdays, that was kind of a franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah. 18 members, and everything was really similar now.
Yeah, very similar. We had slips, paper slips we pass out, but there's still one-to-ones. And I still remember my interview to come out as a new member, the person that did that. So
how about dues? How much were dues back then?
I think it was like $295.
$295.
something like that.
Anna Rivers, if you're watching, maybe we should go back to 200. No, I'm just kidding.
I can go back to my records. I have all the records.
That's crazy. I mean, well, what are membership dues now? Like 1,000, right?
Around 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I mean,
But it still has it's a very good value for your money.
oh yeah,
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
your money back.
yeah.
But anyway, one of the things that from going back to that first meeting, so we had a business card binder, and I had like a little folder with all the business cards. I still have that business card binder from all those people that.
With all
were
the
there.
cards in it.
Yeah,
I wonder if the numbers still work on them.
I know a couple will.
Yeah.
Because
That's-
one's a real estate agent. He's out in the coast now.
Oh wow.
Same guy.
Um, so why
Some people have passed away, but yeah.
why do you keep coming back?
Well, I think it's the people. You know, I always look at the current membership in our group are the best. It's the best group that has been ever.
What was is it the same group that you've been in? This
Yeah,
whole
I've
time?
always been the Vancouver chapter. Yeah.
Always been in the Vancouver. So you're like the top dog of the Vancouver chapter.
No, I wouldn't say that.
There's a couple other, like Jody.
Yeah.
She's been in there for how long?
17, maybe 18,
What about Gasser, David Gasser?
15,
15.
and Jason's 13, I think.
Jason Nichols.
I think 12 or 13. Yeah.
Wow, that's really awesome. That's so cool. What are some of your highlights over the years of like BNI, like events or certain things that really stand out to you? Is there any?
Some events. Well, I'm not sure if there's any. Well, we've had some very successful Visitors Day.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had Visitor Day where there's been like 80, 90 people in the room.
Wow.
I mean, people were we were just inundated with people. So we had like 5 or 6, 10 applications. No, we had like, I think one year we had 10 applications for new members.
That's pretty amazing.
So that's all a matter of filling the program. So
What do you like most about our chapter like this year?
this year,
Yeah.
starting like just in October,
Yeah.
I like being back in the membership committee. Yeah, that's where I'm at now. But I think I like the focus. You know, it's a positive focus on just improving wherever you're at.
Yeah. Do you see yourself, like if you were to retire from your business, could you see yourself working for BNI?
No,
No.
I don't think I'll be worried. I mean, I think if once I get, I mean, it's probably going to be about 12 years.
Before you retire?
Right. So, but I think even at that time, you know, I have to strategize on how do I transfer the business because it's an asset.
Yeah.
You know, you have a number of clients and employees and systems and so forth. So I have to figure out how do I transition out. But there's a lot of people that actually will keep working a little bit.
Are you
especially during tax season when you know there's always a need. So
Yeah. So how do you let's talk about that because I mean, how do you keep your sanity?
We just finished tax season. October 15th was a deadline for extensions. So
And that's a deadline for extensions for all.
personal extensions.
Yeah. And
So we filed probably like 30 returns yesterday. But
30 returns yesterday. So how do you maintain your sanity during like
just systems, you know, just trying to stay stable and just kind of going back to what we're all about, which is trying to relieve anxiety and other people's anxiety by being a calm and professional.
Yeah, I still freak out sometimes. Like I know.
Yeah, we do kind of have it. Don't freak out, but we talk. We lost steam.
Yeah.
Say.
Well, I know that we're still going through. Mickey and I are still going through this audit,
Mm-hmm.
and you've been a tremendous help with just asking you a few questions on some things, especially with your background as being an auditor.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Today's a deadline of getting in some paperwork to the Department of Revenue, so I'm looking forward to sending that off and like, okay, and then we have a review on.
It's always nice to get the ball back in their court, you know.
Yeah, and then we have a review on like the 3rd of December. But I have a really good feeling that, I was so stressed out from this started in October.
Last year.
And so I was really stressed out about so many things just because I thought we did everything, like, okay, we got a bookkeeper, we got our CPA, we're all good. And then this, get this letter. It's like, dun, dun, dun. But you've been really, really helpful with, so I'm not freaking out because your advice has been really, really awesome. So
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. What do you do for fun, Wayne?
Well, I like to geocache.
Geocache.
Yeah.
So
next year is the 25th anniversary of when it started. So I think that's one thing I've been looking forward to is if you go up to Seattle, I think they call them block parties.
Block parties for geocaching?
Right.
And is that just in the state or is that
No, it's international. It's international, yeah. The headquarters is in Seattle.
Oh, really?
Geocaching.com. So.
Oh, wow.
So I'm kind of looking forward to that.
So for those of you that don't know what geocaching is, can you explain a little bit?
I think Jody can explain better.
Really? Is she a massive geocaching?
Her partner is one of the founders of
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. That's so cool. Well, no, we're here with you, Wayne.
Well,
just give me a little insight.
Well, it's just using your phone or GPS to go find containers that somebody else has hidden.
Okay.
And you sign in the log and you put it back. And
you put it back. Has anybody left money?
Well, sometimes people will leave money like first to find. So somebody put out a new geocache and they'll put like $5 or in there for the first person to find it. So.
And then do people add money to it? Is there like a geocache, like something hidden out there with like thousands of dollars in it?
No.
Oh. That'd be kind of cool though, right? I don't know.
You'd have to make it pretty hard. Did you read about that treasure hunt last year? Anyway, there's a whole treasure hunt that's not GPS related or not geocaching related, but it's a treasure hunt that was. This guy had like a poem or riddle, I guess. And somebody actually found it. It was millions of dollars.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. All I know about is that guy that like lost his $10 million Bitcoin or something and it got buried in the trash or was the code or whatever you need. The key? I don't know what it is. Right. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So it's not about what's hidden.
It's just about finding it.
It's about finding it.
Right.
And sometimes like what's the longest it's taken you to find something? Are you pretty quick?
Well, usually it's pretty quick, but sometimes you have to hike for a couple hours to get somewhere. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I remember one time I was hiking. I was actually first to find on it, but I was hiking up somewhere in the Yakult area in the mountains. So it was early morning. I was hiking in, and it took me a long time to get there, but I saw somebody coming out, and I chatted with him, and he'd been hiking on this trail, but he was coming out that prior evening, and it got too dark. He couldn't see the trail, so he had to stay the night in the woods.
Oh, wow. You're probably like, I don't want to stay.
No, this is early morning, so
yeah.
Yeah, I found it, and that was the first one. So.
That's cool. And I don't know, what else?
Well, I like to, I try to ride my bike. As I'm getting older, I got an e-bike instead of I got an additional bike, but I use my e-bike to go back and forth to work sometimes. So.
How far do you live?
About 6.5 miles.
Oh, wow. So that's like
it's a good workout.
13-mile round trip.
Mm-hmm.
In the rain too?
No, I'm afraid of weather.
My aunt, she lives in Latvia, and I think I don't even remember. It's like thousands and thousands of miles that she's logged on her e-bike, but she's riding it everywhere.
Yeah, there are people that ride every single day.
Yeah,
commute that way. But.
I did that in Seattle when we opened our first roasteria cafe, and I lived on Lower Queen Anne or Queen Anne, and I would ride to the roasteria, which was on Fifth Avenue, like right by the monorail. Mm-hmm. So I got a nice mountain bike and full gear and everything else, and I would ride it every morning because I'd get there at like 4:30 in the morning to roast. So I'd ride it in the morning and then ride it back, and I got hit by a car. One time I got hit by a car, and it was somebody that just cut me off that was turning into a parking lot, and I was in the bike lane. I couldn't stop fast enough because it was raining, and almost got ran over, but luckily I pushed myself away from the car.
Well, that's something we have in common then.
You got hit?
I hit a truck.
Ooh, you hit a truck or a truck hit you?
It was not a truck, but it was like a big pickup, basically.
Oh, wow. Did you get injured?
Yeah. It landed right in my head. So the helmet, I mean, I had my road rash right in my face, but I was glad thing I had a helmet.
Yeah.
But I was on a bike trail, and it was on a trail I hadn't been on before up in Seattle, and there was no stop sign, and I didn't realize there was a road. And I'd actually been working on my brakes, and then they weren't working right.
Oh, no.
So by the time I saw this car coming, I hit my brakes, and I was almost got around it, but then I hit the back of it. I hit the back corner, and then
yeah.
The bad thing is, the bike broke.
Right.
The bad thing is we had a group trip planned for the San Juans that weekend
That you
on
said,
the bikes.
no, not going to work. Not gonna
So I went, but I just didn't go on the bike. I didn't
Yeah.
take my bike. I just went and hung out.
I think I just bent my front tire, but I still have the bike.
Oh,
I
nice.
still have the bike. And it's like Mickey keeps saying, why don't you just sell that thing? I'm like, I like it. And they don't make them like this anymore. Yeah. And I'm like, man, this bike is from like 92. So it must be, it's a giant. Like I spent, I don't know, like $1,000 back then was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have the bike. That's crazy. I should probably get that out and ride it. It's probably like weighs 8 times, more than any bike now. But yeah, it's still got the bike. I remember getting the gravel. I was in the ambulance, and they were just like picking gravel out of my skin, and my rashes of the meat, the tenderized meat on my legs and everything. It was like awful. Wayne, what would you recommend to anybody that's thinking about joining BNI but is on the fence? What would you say to them?
I would say make the leap. I mean, you're going to get a benefit. If you're trying to grow your business, especially, you're going to get a benefit. The people that you meet that are on the same mindset and can provide value to you. So
what are some of the differences that you have seen in other networking groups that are different from BNI?
Well, when I actually bought the practice, one of the things we did in the transition was that she was a member of Lay Tip. So she brought me to a Lay Tip meeting. And the one thing I remember about it, they passed around a basket. So if you didn't have a referral, you had to put money in.
Oh.
So, and it was kind of like a penalized for
not referring.
And, we don't have a requirement. I mean, we want people to meet and have one-to-ones, so referrals will happen. But if you don't have one, it's not like you're being shamed for that week specifically. So,
yeah.
And then, I've been a member of Chamber for a long time, and, we have different meetings, but, it's not the same thing because, everybody likes to see each other, but there's not really a commitment to, okay, how can I really help your business? Or
yeah. For me, it's like I'm such a personable, social kind of guy. So it's like I love being able to meet in person. And I remember when I first joined, even though I knew like George Castillo and some other members, but I felt like that kid that, like at junior high at lunchtime.
It's like, which table should I sit?
Yeah. And I'm like, where do I go? Like it was just like, wow, this is, and then just kind of learning, because is this only my second year? It would be my third year in June.
Probably your third year.
I thought it was my third maybe.
Year, maybe.
Yeah. But I love the fact that everybody is so kind, and it's amazing to be able to have a group of We're at 30, 38 now, 37, 38,
36, I think.
36.
But we have an application in process.
Yeah. So like 37 people that you have that, you meet with every week and you get to know on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fun things like Divya's barbecue. I think that was the first event that, outside of meetings that I went to. And it was just really cool to be able to meet everybody and learn what they do. And the cool thing is that you have 30 plus people that can refer your business,
right?
Which is awesome. It's like, how can that, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
Rather than, going to some free groups and, having lunch.
Or just doing Angie's List and
right.
Things like that, where especially the contractors.
Yeah.
I look on Facebook sometimes and, people are saying, hey, I need a referral for gutters. It's like, you'll have 20 people refer different gutter people.
Right.
It's like, how do you choose? You don't have any knowledge of this business other than so-and-so referred them,
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas if I had, like if somebody asked me for like a flooring contractor, I know who I can talk to that I have a relationship with.
Yeah, that you trust.
It's not like like, oh yeah, just use these people.
Yeah, I saw these guys on a billboard, so they must be good.
Yeah.
Because you have that personal relationship with them. That's really cool. Well, that's all I got.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you.
I think, I want to thank you for being a BNI 20-year member.
Call me 20 years, even though I'm not there yet.
Yeah, well, you've earned it. You got the crown.
Yeah.
So what is a great way for people to connect with you? Are you looking for new clients right now?
Yeah, of course, being in BNI, you're open for new clients. So, just give us a call at the office or.
Okay. I'll put your number and email up too.
Okay.
Your personal cell phone.
No, not that one.
Everybody will be calling you in March, right? You get a lot of phone calls in March?
Right. By March, usually we have a deadline is like after the 15th, you're on extension.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Wayne, for coming in and chilling, hanging out in the podcast room. And
thank you.
Thank you.